Hi guys, it's Mishel, Deception Bytes, and I am back again with more Q posts, picking up from where we left off last time. And I know you're probably thinking, where the heck have you been? Well, I know I could have uploaded a video last night, and maybe I should have, but on the other hand, this is how I look at that. I wasn't confident at that point that I had really investigated this thoroughly. I'm still not, but I'm a heck of a lot further along than I was last night. And I don't want to just upload something for the sake of uploading it when it's crap. Because my understanding is that you come here to investigate these posts and to see my thoughts on it and to add your own. And to see what others have written in the comments and so forth. That's my understanding. And if you wanted somebody to read you the post, then, gosh, I could read you a bedtime story. We'd all be happy. It would take a heck of a lot less time if you were just coming here to hear my voice read. So anyway, that's my thoughts, and I didn't feel confident until this time to bring this. Now, it's a huge drop, and I may have to make it into two videos. We'll see how it goes. Now it's 7:36 Eastern Standard Time, 7:36 p.m. So I'll try not to speak too long, and if it goes too long, I'll break it up into two. So let's get to her. This is the first one that picks up from where I left off in the last video, and it says future proves past. And of course Q says that often, meaning that he'll write something, he, she, them, the team will write something, and in the future, something will happen and we'll look back and go, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, he predicted this. Well, not only does it prove that he does have intelligence, it also proves his existence, that it's not just AI, that it's not just a LARP, whatever. It serves many purposes. So future proves past. Now he's telling us that several things happened today which prove past posts. That's what he's saying. And he's saying that's just one day. I think that's the spirit in which he's saying that. The future proves the past. There's been several today, and today's just one day. And so then he goes and tells us a few. The first, Rod Rosenstein. Rod Rosenstein has officially been served a subpoena to appear and produce documents to the Committee of the Judiciary on April 5th, 2018. He now must turn over all documents regarding Clinton email server, McCabe firing, FISA abuses, and more. Yeah. Now, then there is the military and the border. And he says, keep watching the news. And I have actually started this video 2 times and stopped it because I've had news pop up on my feed there, and I wanted to go look at it because there's so much happening today, and I really can't even keep up with it all. It's just happening so fast. But anyway, so he says keep watching the news. Let's go see about the military. Well, President Trump to send National Guard to U.S.-Mexico border. And we know this already. I think this is old news by now. I'm not really sure what you call old news. Maybe old. I don't know. They need to have a name for it. But the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, announced, or maybe it's Nelson. I don't know. I'll say Nielsen. Announced from the White House briefing room on Wednesday that President Donald Trump is deploying National Guard troops to the U.S. southern border immediately in conjunction with the border state governors. Nielsen told reporters that she was not going to get ahead of governors on the size and duration of the effort, but that it will be strong. It will be as many troops as are needed to fill the gaps today. She said the action would be similar to Operation Jumpstart under President George W. Bush. She said that they are looking at options to build a wall along the border where they place military installations. Nielsen said that replacing current border wall counts as new wall. So they're sending, the National Guard there probably to patrol those areas that there are gaps in coverage, and or where the wall is not sufficient, which is most of the border. And I thought this was probably in conjunction with the caravan that was making its way ever so swiftly to our border. But I don't think it is. I think that this is, I think that it was perhaps done under the guise of that, but I get the impression that they're going to be staying there and that they haven't been called off. Now, I could be wrong about that, but because again, it is impossible to look into all the news stories right now. There's way too much, and it's going to get more intense, and I think the drops are going to be coming closer and closer together. They're going to be bigger and they're going to be more intense, and there's so much news happening. And Q has already told us that April's a huge month, and April's brought to us by the letter Q, or by the letter A, remember from the last video. So, and the border, of course, that's, the whole thing about the border and the caravan and all that happening. Keep watching the news. April. And then he throws in this word, Moab. Now, the fact that this was all in capitals was a clue to me that it stood for something. Each letter stood for something. And because at first, Moab made me think of the Moabites in the Bible, but I know it has nothing to do with that. But it does have to do with this, a massive ordnance air blast, Moab. Now, that is also nicknamed the mother of all bombs. So let's go take a look at that, what it is, because some of you will know because you have military backgrounds, and some of you won't, like myself. I didn't know. I have no military background. The GBU 43B Massive Ordnance Air Blast, commonly known as the mother of all bombs, is a large yield bomb developed for the United States military by Albert L. Wymorts Jr. of the Air Force Research Laboratory. At the time of development, it was touted as the most powerful non-nuclear weapon in the United Arsenal. The bomb is designed to be delivered by a C-130 Hercules, primarily the MC-130E Combat Talon, or MC-130H Combat Talon II variants. The Moab was first dropped in combat in the 13th of April 2017 airstrike against Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant ISIL militants in Afghanistan. So this bomb was first used against ISIL in Afghanistan, and it is the most powerful non-nuclear weapon in the American arsenal, and it's nicknamed the mother of all bombs. So, what exactly Q is trying to tell us here, I don't know. Maybe you guys have some idea, but I'll tell you one thing. It's in here with all this, the border, the military, keep watching the news, April, I don't know. I don't get the impression that he's warning us that it's going to be used against us. I don't get that. But are we planning on using it? And if we are, against whom? I don't know. Does it have anything to do with the border? I would really severely doubt that the U.S. would bomb the caravan. I really do. I can't even go there because it's full of women and children as well. Now, these people are foolish to be doing what they're doing, and apparently it's been called off from what I understand from the news, and I do have to look into that further after I finish recording because I want to look into that. But I don't know. If any of you guys have any inclination about what that could be, or if you absolutely know, please put it in the comments below. I do appreciate the comments. I really do. And I try to read them all, but I sometimes when they get up into the 600s, it's like it's difficult. So I do try, and usually after I've uploaded a video, I get to the comments that are immediately afterwards. So I do try to get to the others, but there's just one of me. I'm gonna have more time though after a couple weeks, so hopefully I'll get better at looking at all of the comments. So let's keep going. Now we're going to get up here into the YouTube shooter, and Q says, Coincidence, another mainstream narrative change upon release of damaging news? People are waking up. Trace the background of the shooter. Focus on father. 20 years. Q. Now, what Q is talking about here is that the mainstream media, of course, jumped on the whole gun thing, but now they've backed off. Why? Why? Well, because the shooter doesn't fit their narrative. And let's take a look at this. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Yeah, doesn't fit their narrative. Why? Well, the shooter's not male. Shooter's not white. Shooter's not even a conservative. She's a Democrat. She's a vegan. She didn't use an AR-15. She used a handgun. She wasn't a supporter of the NRA. And she was in a strict gun control state. And in fact, she was in a gun-free zone within YouTube. So she loved her son. She supported PETA. She loved animals. And she's not going to be talked about by the mainstream media or gun grabbers. She's not. Because they want it to be a white male conservative Trump supporter with a Make America Great Again hat and carrying an AR-15 who's an NRA supporter. That's what they want. She doesn't fit the narrative. In fact, it's interesting that they're even photoshopping her picture now and making her more white and giving her green eyes. And just Americanizing her a little bit more. Because we wouldn't want to think that the foreigners are causing any harm here. But yeah, this has just kind of been dropped from the news. And we know why. So I don't think it should be any surprise to us. And to me, that just makes it seem like this was an actual shooting, a real shooting. Because if it wasn't, it would be shoved down our throats, right? And we'd have all these people that witnessed it, so-called witnessed it. I mean, so-called witnesses, yeah, before the camera and saying, oh my gosh, right? I mean, please outlaw the guns. But see, they can't do that even because they were in a gun-free zone. So they should have been safe, right? Because they tell us, if there's no guns, then there won't be any crime. There won't be any gun crime. They should have been perfectly safe there. So, and it wasn't an AR-15, so they should have been doubly safe, right? So, Q tells us to focus on the father. Well, what do we know about the father? Well, we know that the father owned an electric company, and we know that Nassim, the shooter, worked for her father in that company for a long time. Now, they're making it sound like she was some sort of loser, that she would upload these strange videos to YouTube, and that was her whole income. Now, it may have been her whole income, in the last months or whatever, but she had worked for her father for a number of years. She was 33, from what I understand. Now, Q made reference to 20 years. I don't know what that is referring to. I have looked and looked and looked and looked, and I got very frustrated with looking. I can't find it. So there's probably going to be more coming out about this from Q. So I guess we can just keep our ears and eyes open, and but I don't know what that 20 years is referring to. However, the father, apparently, and his name is Ishmael. Not going to attempt his last name because I just don't do well with Agdam, maybe, said on Monday morning the family had called police to report his daughter missing because she hadn't been answering her phone for 2 days. Mountain View police called the family around 2 a.m. Tuesday to tell them that they had found Nassim sleeping in her car and that everything was in control. Now, first of all, if you report somebody missing and they took it seriously enough to be watching for her, and it had only been 2 days. Most of the time, it's when it's an adult like that, they're going to say, well, they'll turn up. Maybe they wanted to disappear. Maybe they will. You know what I'm saying? I mean, police don't generally jump right on a missing person who's an adult, unless there, is more to the story than we're being told. And police are taking this very seriously and find her sleeping in her car around 2 a.m. Well, is that normal? Do people normally sleep in their car at 2 a.m.? I mean, 2 a.m., you find somebody sleeping in their car. Why? Why wouldn't she have gone to a hotel? Unless she had no money, in which case, how did she get there? What was she eating? How was she putting gas in the car? Anyway, they found her and told her father that everything was in control. Well, how did they know? Because she told them? I don't know. Did her father know she had a gun? Did the police check for a gun? I don't know. He said he had told police she might be going to YouTube because she hated the company. Well, wouldn't that be enough to maybe, at least detain her? Check, maybe see if she had a gun, something like that. I mean, if you ask her, hey, you going to YouTube? No. What are you doing sleeping in your car? I don't know, I was tired. Okay, well, see you later. It doesn't make sense to me. But then I'm, a highly curious and suspicious person. Mountain View police confirmed Tuesday night that they had found a woman of the same name asleep in a vehicle early Tuesday morning in a parking lot. A vehicle. Was it her vehicle? I mean, we need more information here. Our officers made contact with the woman after the license plate of her vehicle matched that of a missing person, so obviously it was, out of Southern California, said Mountain View Police spokeswoman Katie Nelson. So, anyway, still lots of questions there, and we're never going to get the answers unless Q spills, because we're not going to get it from mainstream media. We're not going to get it because it doesn't fit their narrative. And they really can't spin this one. And I'm sure that they would try if they could. But there's really no way to spin this in a positive light for them. So, and the other thing that I found odd, she's Iranian, by the way. And she's, from what it would appear, from what I found, she's transsexual. Now, that does not make somebody violent, and it doesn't, it's neither here nor there. It's just an interesting fact. She does wear a hijab, and it was a handgun, not an assault rifle. So there's just a lot of things here that are odd, but I don't think it's a false flag, because if it was, it would be being used. So anyway, and that, of course, Q was responding to that in response to his own post. He's referring to his own post there and just giving us more information. Now, this person is asking Q, P equals Pope? Q responds to this person, excuse me, and so, excuse me, I gotta take a drink. I choked on my own saliva. I don't know how that's possible, but it happened. Okay. Now, Q says here, in response to this anon up here, says, Pope will be having a terrible May. Those who backed him will be pushed into the light. Dark to light. Truth. Q. So, he's saying that the light is truth. Those who backed him are going to be pushed into the truth. They're going to know who they backed. The truth is going to come to light. And that's what he's saying. So in May, something terrible about the Pope, and it's going to cause him to have a terrible May. And those who backed him are going to, be forced, really, pushed, it says, into the light of the truth. the truth about the Pope, not the truth about God and whatever. He's talking about separate things here. So there's something that's going to come out about the Pope in May. So we don't have that long to wait, do we? And that doesn't surprise me at all because, and I know the Catholics will get upset with me, but this is a very wicked Pope. He is a very, very wicked Pope. Okay. Now, and this person down here was responding to a post further up where someone responding to Q's post that the Pope would be having a terrible May posted this, which I find very offensive. Q did not post this. But anyways, this Anon posted this, and it's got this guy, obviously Jewish, with the Star of David, the hairy chest, the big nose, reminds me of the propaganda that Hitler used to put out about the Jews. Very, very similar, even as far as distorting facial features and so forth to make them look more Jewish. And this person saying, why do they persecute me so? Meanwhile, they are thigh deep in blood, and the knife is dripping in blood, their hands are dripping in blood, and it says Russian, Polish, Hungarian, Ukrainian blood. Now, hopefully, this person is referring to the Zionists and not to all Jews, because they're two different things. Then he's specifically referring to Q's post about the Pope having a terrible May. And he responds, he says, Pope will be having a terrible May. Pope will be having a terrible May. Holy shit. Pardon my French. Tell us, Q, how many are connected to Roths? So perhaps this person, she, posted this, it's kind of aimed towards the Zionists. I hope, because I do find this offensive. So, all right. Now, Q responds to this. And his only response is, the chair serves the master. Who is the master? P equals C. Q. Now, the chair, the master sits in the chair serves the master. This is how I'm looking at this, okay? Now, again, I could be wrong, but this is how I'm looking at this. When you have a chair, and I realize he's not talking about chair in the literal meaning of the word, but follow my logic here. You have a chair. What's that chair for? It's for the master of the house. Master sits in the chair. He fills the chair. Okay? It's for his purpose and his pleasure. Okay? Who is the master? The master should be Christ, right? And as his servants, he fills us. And that is the whole idea about the Pope. He is supposedly, which is not scriptural, but he is Christ's regent on earth. So he is taking the place of Christ on earth. So the Pope equals Christ. Now, you can go back and look into the doctrine all you want, but I know that's right. That part. Okay? Now, whether this is what Q is saying, I don't know. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe that the Pope is Christ. And I don't believe that he is the Christ on earth. Absolutely not. But The Pope is not serving. The Pope is not Christ. The master in this case of this Pope is actually Lucifer. Now, there could be, Q may not be looking at this in a spiritual sense at all. I do, because that's kind of my bent, So let me look at this another way and take it out of the spiritual realm. Perhaps Q is saying, who is the master? P equals C. Now, in that case, I don't know. The Pope equals the chair. Pope equals chair. So if the Pope is the chair, then who is the master? Now, if we're not looking at this in a spiritual sense, then could Rothschilds be the master over their chair, who is the Pope? If we take away the spiritual application of it, that's what we get. Now, that's how I would read that. One of those two ways. And it could be a combination of both. So that's what I think. But I welcome your suggestions there. Absolutely. And your thoughts on this. Always. Your thoughts are welcome. Even if they are diametrically opposed to what I have just stated, because that's how we all learn and grow and whatever. So I'm not out to prove how smart I am or anything else. All right. So then we go on with this whole thought, and let me just make sure that I've got this correct. All right. So this post right here that I'm about to read is responding to this one of Q's, where he says the chair serves the master. Who is the master? Pope equals chair. That's how I would read that. But who's the master? In this case, who is the master? Is the master on earth, or is the master someone else? It's supposed to be, the Pope is supposed to be serving at the pleasure of the Lord, Jesus Christ. But we know that that's not the case. And so who is he serving? Is he serving someone on earth like the Rothschilds, or is he serving Lucifer? Well, yeah. Okay. So in response to that post of Q's, Q writes, why is Epstein spending $29 million to bury the tunnels underneath it should be underneath his temple on Epstein Island? Problem. Okay, so he's telling us right here why. Hang on, let me get this post together so it's not split up between two pages here. There we go. So he's asking us a question. Why is Epstein spending $29 million to bury the tunnels underneath his temple on Epstein Island? But then he's telling us, well, because there's a problem. What's the problem? Phones were allowed in. These people are stupid. Q. Now, you remember the big thing about Q posts in the past about not letting phones in because, well, we know. I mean, we don't have to spell that out. We're reasonably intelligent people, all of us. So, yeah, somebody let a phone in. That means somewhere there exists video evidence or auditory evidence. I would suggest video evidence because auditory evidence could be discredited pretty easily. So phones were allowed in, and something was taken in the tunnels underneath Epstein Island, and we have already stated what we believe and actually know is taking place in those tunnels. So there's a video somewhere. Well, they're burying the tunnels now. They're hiding the evidence. They're probably running scared. And that is fascinating to me. The other thing is, it looks like, from people that have gone out and actually Google Earth and all that, that the temple has been removed from there as well. So it's interesting, but we're going to find out some more interesting things here. Okay. Now, hang on. These are all trailed together. Okay. That's referring to... All right, let's go up to the top here. We're going to have to read it going down for it to make sense. The way they're nesting these posts together on QAnonPost.com is very confusing now, I find, anyway. So that's why I was hesitating. I want to make sure that I've got this as it's supposed to be. I don't want to be giving out misinformation, not on purpose anyway. Okay. All right, so Q posts this picture, and this is Epstein Island. I'm going to make this even bigger because it's important. Hang on. So this is Epstein Island. It's owned by Jeffrey Epstein, or Epstein, I'm not sure. I think it's Epstein. And of course, he's tied to all sorts of people and known for underage girls. And there's all sorts of, there was a temple there that was occultic. It had Moloch. And of course, Moloch is an ancient god of the Canaanites, who they used to, they still do, sacrifice children to. Actually, it was a god that had his hands outstretched, and in some places it shows the god as an owl, but it would have its arms outstretched, and they would heat, the statue was hollow, and they would heat it, super heat it, and then they would sacrifice children by placing them in the arms, and it would be sacrificed to Moloch. Well, Moloch is also over Bohemian Grove. There's a huge owl there, and it's also why we keep seeing owl symbolism everywhere, including on our money, and it's here at Epstein Island as well. So now Q asks us. He posts this picture. I mean, it looks like a beautiful place. Like, if it wasn't so evil, it would be awesome to have your own island. But that's certainly not an island that I would want to visit. Sorry, now where did I go? All right. Okay. So, after that picture, Q says, where do roads lead? Each prince is associated with a cardinal direction. And of course, the cardinal directions we know are north, south, east, and west. And then he tells us, sacrifice, that's the purpose. Each prince is associated with a cardinal direction. For what purpose? Sacrifice. What do they do after they sacrifice? They collect. Classified 1, classified 2, tunnels. Table 29. D room H, D room R, D room C, which spells down here Hillary Rodham Clinton. Pure evil, conspiracy, and that's in quotes, Q. Now, sorry. All right, well, let's start taking a look at this stuff. Just get rid of this. So, all right, the 4 satanic crown princes of hell. That's what these 4 directions are. And let me just go back here for a second to show you something. Up here. See, there's roads to each, and it's kind of like in the shape of a cross, this island, which is, it's naturally like that. I don't think that they've added anything to it, but see, the roads are to each of those 4 points on the island. And apparently these roads lead, there's the prince of the cardinal prince over north, south, east, and west, and they correspond to the 4 satanic crown princes of hell. While all of the infernal names are said to reside in the royal palace of hell, 4 are set apart as being particularly powerful. These are known to Levian Satanists as crown princes of hell. Each prince is associated with a cardinal direction: north, south, east, and west. This is in line with other Western magical practices that commonly associate supernatural beings with cardinal points. Specifically, ceremonial magic has commonly ascribed the 4 biblical archangels, Michael, Raphael, Uriel, and Gabriel, to the 4 directions for several hundred years. Yeah, that's according to ceremonial magic, not according to the Bible. In the Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey also associates each prince with one of the 4 physical elements: fire, earth, air, and water. This is again a common practice in Western magical traditions. Satan is a Hebrew term. I must be getting tired already. Satan is a Hebrew term meaning adversary. Unlike the common Christian view of Satan as opposing the will of God in his original context, Satan was a servant of God. He tested the faith of God's followers by being adversarial toward them, tempting them to stray from God's path or denounce him in their moment of misery. For Satanists, he is the adversary of mundanity, mediocrity, right-hand path, stupidity, conformity for the sake of conformity, self-destruction, religion, gods. Now, this is not, he is associated in the Satanic Bible with the elements of fire and the south. Okay, this is not, this is not the biblical view of Satan. Satan is Lucifer, and I actually go through that and prove it in a book that I've written, but it's, I'm not going to get into that now because we're going to get way off track, but and I don't want to argue it in the comments either until I've had a chance to actually make a video on that, and then we can discuss it, so that those who are not here and not interested in discussing that, they're not here for that, they're here for Q posts. I don't want to get us all dragged into something that's another whole subject. So that's what that stands for, though, on the island. They're the 4 princes of hell, and there are sacrifices made to these princes on this island, and the sacrifice is made, and then there's a collection made of the sacrifice. Now, what that involves, I don't know. So, let's continue. Whoops. I don't know what this means. Classified 1, classified 2. Is this the tunnels? Are there 2 tunnels? 2 tunnel systems there? I don't know. But underneath that classified 1, classified 2, it says tunnels. And then table 29. Well, I don't know what table 29 is. I've been through all sorts. There is actually a book called Table 29. I don't think it's related. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll show you what the book is. Again, I don't think it's related. It's a murder mystery, and who is the murderer? Is it one of the passengers at table 29? Perhaps it's one of the other passengers seated in the exclusive first-class dining room, or maybe one of the crew on board the ship. It might even be one of the passengers in the discounted cabins in the tourist class, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this book is on Amazon. If you want to go out there, take a look at it. Tell me what you think. I don't think it's related. I did originally, but I don't now. There's also, I ran across Table 29 in looking up FBI, what was it? FBI, it was an FBI Table 29, but again, it didn't look related. So, I don't know. And I don't know what this D room. Maybe whatever happened in the tunnels, maybe it happened in D room. Maybe it was done by Hillary Rodham Clinton. I don't know. But he says pure evil. And of course, I think whatever it is, it can't be good. Let's go take a look at this. All right. Journalist Liz Crokin reports here that she feels that Hillary Clinton will eventually be indicted in connection with a sex video of herself, her assistant Huma Abedin, and an underage girl. Well, if that's the case, and I have said that before, that was found on Weiner's laptop. Well, if that's the case, if you're underage girl, it would make sense that it would happen at Epstein Island, wouldn't it? That's the island of underage girls. The video was allegedly discovered on the computer of Huma Abedin's husband, Anthony Weiner. I think he's a wiener. Crokin here tells of a folder on Weiner's computer titled Life Insurance, containing several sex videos. Oh, that's interesting. It was life insurance. Weiner's computer was seized by the New York Police Department as evidence in his own sexting case involving a 15-year-old minor. Weiner's computer was also found to contain 2,800 backups of Huma's correspondence with Hillary Clinton, which became evidence in the FBI's investigation of Hillary's use of a private server to conduct government business with classified materials. I'd heard rumors of a horrific pedophile video featuring Hillary and Huma for weeks leading up to the 2016 U.S. presidential election. All of us who heard about it wanted to see justice served. But a year has passed with nary a peep on the subject till Liz Crokin made this video post on November 3rd. For his part, Anthony Weiner was convicted in his case, and he must report to prison by tomorrow, November 6th, to begin serving his 21-month sentence. In 2016, WikiLeaks published emails from Hillary Clinton's server, from the DNC, and from Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, John Podesta. This later cache of emails contains several instances of the use of code words that the FBI has identified as being used in child pornography and with child sex trafficking. These are allegedly, there are allegedly many videos on Anthony Weiner's laptop implicating many powerful politicians in pedophilia. The videos are so graphic and horrific that multiple sources have told Crokin that when New York Police Department reviewed these files, it made these grown men cry. New York Police Department in possession of these files, as is the FBI and WikiLeaks, according to Crokin's sources. Now, okay, you got to realize the New York Police Department, these men are tough men. And, you know, serving in New York, you'd pretty much have to be you'd probably see everything. But whatever's on these tapes, it made grown men cry. Yeah. Julian Assange has been taunting Hillary Clinton very actively on Twitter, and he released a key that most likely is a key to another data dump, which could possibly include this life insurance file that was on Anthony Weiner's laptop. That would include all the videos of this child sex trafficking, the Hillary Clinton sex tape, the child sex abuse, you name it. And if and when that happens, let me tell you, no one will be able to deny that Pizzagate is real. Nobody will be able to deny the likes of the Clinton and John Podesta and many, many politicians and many members of Congress are involved in the child rape and torture of, I should say, this satanic rape and torture of kids, because this pedophilia actually revolves around their beliefs in the occult and their worship of Lucifer, Satan, Moloch, whatever the hell you want to call their evil god that they worship. Yeah. So, I think that video's getting ready to come out, personally. And maybe that's why the tunnels are being buried. You can bet that, well, Q tells us they're being buried because there's a problem. Phones were let in. So, we already know. We know that there's a video that exists and it was taken in the tunnels and they've got to cover their tracks. Just like they did in, what was that, the McMartin preschool case where they filled in the tunnels? Okay, so then an Anon posted this, and it says, it's a meme, of course, if Satanists took over the Vatican, would you notice? And then it shows a picture of the snake, and then this is taken inside the Vatican with the snake. You can see the fangs here and the eyes. All right. And Q responds to that and says, symbolism will be their downfall. Money, power, influence. The bite that has no cure. NSA. The bite that has no cure. That would be databyte, megabyte, gigabyte. Deception bites. No. So symbolism will be their downfall. I mean, we can follow them. We can track them by their symbolism, right? And they think that everybody's too stupid to know. That's why, like, I've been studying this sort of symbolism for a very, very long time, just because I was studying something else, not understanding that it was all related. And so, you know, I'm very much aware of the symbolism, and I pay attention to it. Now, some people, they use the symbolism not really knowing what they're doing, but you can pretty much guess that the higher up they are, and if they're using that symbolism, they know. So, money, power, influence. The bite that has no cure. NSA. I like that. And right here, this is April 3rd, and Q says security test. So obviously at that point, there was some question as to whether the board was still secure. And he repeats it above, April 3rd, security test, Bravo B, activate, D, private, I guess, or privacy, D, private, probably, Q. So this isn't meant for us. It's meant to whoever's on the board that he's talking to. But at that point, there must have been some concern over the safety of the board. So, and he said security test, Bravo B, activate D, privacy. So they could have been shutting people out at that point. That, you know, clowns. Those darn clowns. Now, I'm kind of thinking that maybe at this point I'm going to break, okay, and continue on, because this has been going for quite a while now, and I think I need a little bit of a break, and I'm going to come back with the second video, okay? I promise you that I will upload the second video tonight, and I will start working on it in about 5 minutes after I've uploaded this. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful evening tonight, and I hope you enjoy the drop so far, and I will also check for additional Q posts in between this video and the next. So have a wonderful evening. Stay safe.